All right. So for this film study, this is more of an audit, a film study audit. So one of the things, again, I always talk about Coach Barry Robinson. He'll go back, review some of his work, and kind of do an audit on, like, I like a good audit. I've got a couple of pieces. Something that we talked about a while ago being ghost notes and shit, there was another phrase that I use and I can't, like filament or baby's breath. So baby's breath was it. That was right. So I want to talk about ghost notes and baby's breath, and I want to reframe them in terms of pre-defense. So pre-defense is sort of a new term that we're using, and I figured this would be a good time to catch everybody up on sort of our new terminology. We still have ghost notes, we still have baby's breath, and which I'll get into what all that is again. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to play an old video, not that old, but just a quick video on what we mean when we talk about ghost notes. And I want to explain too how that now ties into pre-defense. So the first one we'll watch will be the ghost notes one. All right. When we talk about good. So obviously you'll hear me talking from before. When I chime in, I'll try to say live. I don't know, so that you could differentiate between what was and what is. I like how deep and zen that all sounds. All right, back to me. Take it away, me. Okay, me. Thank you. It's about jabbing on exits, about throwing a combination, feinting or posting. These, we do a lot of in between things. If you look at like a traditional combination of, let's say, a 1-2-1, you have your jab, cross, jab. What I like to think that we do is we'll do a 1-2-1, fake a jab and move to the right, or 1-2 post, and then another piece of move. I like to think of it as that we're occupying sort of time and we're occupying space with other things. We always talk about occupying space with feints. So I'm going to jump in here. Part of that is, so if we're doing that 1-2-1 and we add in 1-2-1, let's say a snake charmer as we step to the left or something as we step to the right, that's also so in the Venn diagram, it is a ghost note, which we're going to go over what a ghost note is in terms of drumming. It is a ghost note, but also in this Venn diagram, it's pre-defense. We've thrown a combination, and we're defending before anything happens. And what we're doing is we're not allowing the thing that is going to happen, that inevitably happens. We're not allowing that to happen, and that is pre-defense. With your core taps, with even just touches. So if you do a 1-2-1 touch and move, most boxers, it's a 1-2-1 and then they move off to the right, or 1-2-1 and they move off to the left. We do 1-2-1, little touch, little moves. We're always occupying that space. There's a thing in drumming called ghost notes, and what ghost notes are is they fill in the space. What I like about this, the sample I'm going to show you here is you'll have an example of the drum beat without ghost notes, and I like to think of that, just think of a regular boxing combination. Then you're going to have the drum beat with the ghost notes, and I like to think of that as how we do boxing. All right, so let's give this a listen.
But if you're playing just a standard rock groove, a ghost note is sometimes there that it'll just kind of fill in the groove and give it more feel, rather than it sounding very, very straight and rigid. So a groove without ghost notes would sound like this. And then if I just throw a few ghost notes, do the same kind of, rigid style hi-hat playing with my right hand, but if I throw a few ghost notes in with my left hand, you're going to hear the groove sounds completely different.
So you can rewind that again. Normally I'd play it again, but I don't want to belabor the point. But if you do listen to this again, rewind just that part, just to hear that again, because you can really hear just it really is the same beat, but yet different with the ghost notes. So there's also, I like the way she sort of describes ghost notes, really interesting as well. And again, if I want you to think of the ghost notes as our filament, or as those little things that we do, the feints, the jabs, the touches, the punches to the air. All so when I talk about filament, I think I got that word wrong. I was trying to think of a flower. Oh, sorry, live. I was trying to think of a flower arrangement. When you have roses, and roses are gorgeous. You're holding a bouquet of roses. They're beautiful. Once you add in baby's breath, it just changes. It changes the bouquet. It just makes it it just makes it more beautiful. It adds to it. It doesn't take away from it. When you add in baby's breath to anything, it doesn't take away, it only adds to. Not just in the literal sense, but in the aesthetics of what you're looking at. If you think of just roses and then you think of roses with baby's breath, it's very different. So it's the same with what we're talking about when we talk about our punches. So 1-2-1 seems to be the example. 1-2-1, I can just stand there. 1-2-1. 1-2-1. So that's one thing. I could go 1-2-1, step right. 1-2-1, step forward. I can do that. Or I can do 1-2-1, fake a jab, step to the left, step back, loche to the right. 1-2-1, slip, roll. Now I'm adding in things. I'm adding in ghost notes. I'm adding in baby's breath and pre-defense. Again, that Venn diagram, they're all in there. All right, let's go back to what I was saying before. Take it away, me. Little things that I consider to be our ghost notes. So here's another example. I'm going to back up a little bit just because I want us to... How the hell? What am I doing here? Here? Yep. Okay, sorry about that. I'm just going to back up a little bit because I think what I was saying before that sort of describes ghost notes really... Sorry, guys. Whatever. Like the way she sort of describes ghost notes really interesting as well. And again, if I want you to think of the ghost notes as our filament, or as those little things that we do, the feints, the jabs, the touches, the punches to the air, all these little things that I consider to be our ghost notes. So here's another example.
In between these hi-hats, you got space.
The final frontier.
So that's what I love. In between these hard hats, you have space. So in between engagements, in between defending punches, in between throwing punches, in between the just boxing, in between those moments, you have space. I just want to rewind that a little bit. Hopefully I get it right. We'll see. Here we go.
You got space.
The final frontier.
Space that you're going to fill with a 16th note, or a little tiny baby goose note. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Just like that. Make sure this is as quiet as you can physically make it. Let's make a groove out of it. 1 and 2 and...
So we can, this gets more into the dynamics of drumming for it, but you get the idea how what she's doing here could be a simple shakur tap.
3 and 4 and... On 3, bring your right hand, that's currently on the hi-hat, down to the snare drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Once that's comfortable?
And that could be that boom. That could be that gas station robbery showing that 6. So you've got your shakur taps, you've got your 6, and then you've got your combinations. So I really like that for that as well. Then we have, last one, we have more ghost note stuff. So you can listen to the sliding in of the ghost notes. This one's worth listening to again because here's without ghost notes. So I think that's incredibly important. So it's something that we work on. I just wanted to give you a different sort of look, or a different sort of listen, as to just a different perception of what it is that we do, a different type of reinforcement to what it is that we do. It's just really good stuff. Ghost notes. So we'll probably be using ghost notes as a certain umbrella, in addition to the stuff we do. Good stuff. All right. So I'm back to live. So that is, we'll get out of here. Get rid of that. So that is ghost notes. And I like the audit of, I want to make clear the Venn diagram of ghost notes with baby's breath, occupying space, controlling space, as well as pre-defense. They're all related. Pre-defense, it seems to be pre-defense is the all-encompassing thing. There's pre-defense, there's space, and there's ghost notes. Next up, I wanted to. This had a message in it and some meaning that I thought was interesting as well. So we'll watch this. I wanted to talk about. I always begin it with. I want to talk about a couple of things. So I saw this clip on Instagram this morning. So what we're going to see is the gentleman here on our left is going to be using. All right, I'm coming back in live. So one of the questions I get often, especially from new people, and this video is really kind of geared towards the newer people. For anyone else that's been coming a long time, this is a great review, as well as getting more kind of updated language and information. The Shakur taps especially. I get a lot of shit and I get a lot of grief for stirring the pot, for Shakur taps, for jabbing at the air, and these things are important. They're not done a lot, and which I'm fine with. I'm fine with other gyms or other boxers not doing it. For us, this is something that we do. This is part of the Lucky Punch boxing system, where what we are doing is, in this instance, we're occupying the glove. If you're tapping someone's glove, they cannot get that jab off quickly. They can still eventually, sure, they can get it off, but what's happening is you're not getting punched. They have to deal with your lead hand, then they're going to throw their jab. It occupies space, where if it's someone that wants to come in, if you're touching that lead hand, it keeps them for, maybe it's 1 second, maybe it's for 5 seconds, that they're just not able to do the work that they want to do. So that's part of why it's important that we do that. High hand position is the position. As you can see here, his hand is higher. You want upper hand position. If his hand, let's say if he were trying this, his hand is lower, that jab has a path. This way with the upper hand, that jab does not have a clear path. All right, I'll go back to the video. They call a paw. We do something similar. We do a thing called Shakur taps. This is similar to Shakur taps, but it's more pawing. Shakur taps and pawing fall under the same sort of lineage. But what happens is, this is a thing I see often, that people will do it incorrectly and then think it doesn't work. Or you'll always hear another boxer say, oh, yeah, if you do that, it doesn't work. It does work. It just has to be done properly. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I'm going to show you an example of how and why it doesn't work. And then I'll show you some examples of how it works and then how to train it. So those are sort of 3 things that we're going to be looking at. So the first thing is, let's take a look, and you're going to see how, I like this lesson. So pay attention to the lesson that the coach here gives.
Careful with that pawn, all right? I'm timing your pawn. Be careful with that pawn. That could be a good tool to use, and also could be a weakness if you're not disguising. Yeah. You can't throw it at the same rate, the same speed every time. Because I timed it. We were doing this, same speed, same rhythm. You gotta switch things like that up. Again, it's good to use that, but you gotta switch up how you use it. Your greatest weapons could become your biggest downfalls if you don't know how to use it the right way.
So what I liked about that is the coach is right. So he's using the paw, and he's, but it's the same rhythm. It's the same motion. It's the same thing. You can get away with doing that. And we'll get to this as far as drilling. I like doing drills where, let's say you take a 2-minute round, you do 2 times, you do the Shakur tap, then you move on to something else, then you move on to something else, then you move back to the Shakur tap. So you could do Shakur taps, then a feint, then a jab, then a double jab, then back to Shakur tap, then stir in the pot, then a post. So those are the ways in which it becomes effective. In training and in drill. Coming in live for a second. Let me also say one of my weaknesses as a coach, I'm a very defensive minded coach, and I assume the offense part. My big thing, and again, it's a Barry Robinson thing that talks about offense and punches are a formality, but I take that for granted. One of the things, so let me specify here, one of the things that can happen off of Shakur taps are that you can weaponize it. You can Shakur tap, double jab at the glove, stir the pot, Shakur tap, and then boom, weaponize that shit. Come right in with some punches. You can, I'll leave it at that. That you could begin a combination off of pre-defense. You can begin work off of that. It's not only for defense. It's also for offense. And I take for granted, and I don't talk about that as often as I should. And so I want to just be very clear about that here, that you could do these things and then not just be defensive. I like defense first, 100%. That's what I'm about. But also, there's a time and place. You got to punch somebody. And in this, if you watch this drill when we see it again, that the tap, double tap, boom, and then you come in, you could throw some punches, tie up, exit with jab, occupy. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. Back to me. In the beginning, layer 1, do a round of just... So, sorry, what we're talking about here, just because I interrupted, we're talking about the drilling aspect. So now it's like, okay, how do we drill this? So as I'm saying, there are layers. So in layer 1, that's what we're talking about here. Up the way you do your Shakur tap, where you do your tap, 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 tap. So you want to be consistent with the thing you're working on, and then also add in the ways of doing it differently. So what we're going to look at next is we're going to watch Lawrence Okoli versus Tomas Lodai. It's a terrible video of it. What I like about this is, so Okoli is trained by Barry Robinson. Well, he was for this. I hate the way this sounds. The only way that I really know how to put it. I like to think of what we do, or how the way that I teach. I like to think of it that we do Plato, and that Barry Robinson is our Aristotle. So, I'm sorry, our Socrates. Robinson's our Socrates. We are Plato to that. So this is the master. So you're going to see how these things are done the way that Okoli does them. And again, he's taught by Barry, so it's important to watch this. So I'm going to turn down the volume just because I find the announcers kind of annoying. They're talking about Okoli did really terrible in his last fight, and that's all they talk about. They miss everything that's happening. So already you could see that lead hand doing the work. He's going left, he's going right. Watch it. Now, did you see that? Where I'm going to rewind that again. I want you to see those coming in live again. So I'm going to talk about it again. It just fucking gets me again. Those little punches to the air, they seem throwawayish. They don't. I love those. What they again, it gives the other boxer something to worry about, think about. It's occupying. Anyway, I just love that. All right, just to the air. That's something that we do, and that's important. He throws just a nice light combination to the air, right there, and then he's got the jab going. He's got the stir in the pot. He's getting out of dodge. He's using the lead hand. And again, we won't watch the full 12 minutes, but I want you to see. Look what he's doing with the lead hand. He gives a touch, disengages. Moves left, moves right. Coming in live for a second. Beautiful moment to pause, too. If you notice as well, the space he has space. He's not standing in the 50-50. He's moving in and out of the 50-50. Predominantly space. He has created space. And we need space to give us time to see, think, and decide. Space, space, space. He's creating space, he's occupying space, and then he's taking space away, creating space, occupying space. It's just, watch how he's in and out of that 50-50. Throws a couple of jabs, jab to the belly, jab upstairs, and notice those weren't killer jabs. Boom. Now he gets that, boom, boom, gets that nice 1-2. Now look at that lead hand, doing that, occupying space, controlling distance. Notice the tap into a light post. Right there, a strong post. Now he's posting with both hands. And then goes back to something different. So you could see he is changing. The things that we drill, he is changing every X amount of time. And again, I'm just going to give this another 10 seconds because I just want you to see. I just think it's a brilliant performance. I might even go a little longer than 10 seconds. It is just a brilliant performance. Nice big right hand. Again, right back to a type of stir in the pot. Notice that right hand was just a little light touch. And I'm going to shut up and just, watch that. There was a post, then a right hand, that lead hand. Look at that. It just fantastic work. This is what we strive for. So a lot of times you'll hear from other coaches or other gyms how that stuff doesn't work. You can see here, it works. If you do it properly, it works. So what I'm going to do next is I strongly encourage you, go to YouTube, Lawrence Okoli versus Tomas Lode. Find it, watch it. You're not going to find the full fight, but you will find this clip of it. And what we're going to check out now is how do you train that? So here's a quick 22 seconds. I'm going to show it to you twice of just when you're back at the gym or when you're in your basement or when you're outside at the field, wherever you can, and you're doing a shadow box, do a round where you're working the Shakur taps, the feints, the double movements, the foot feints, the posts, those type of things. So we're just going to check out 22 seconds of work. And again, I'll coming in live for a sec. So what's funny is I pulled up this specific video too. I forgot it was in this lesson, so I have it again. One thing I want to mention about this too is what they're doing is everything that we just talked about, as well as some of the feints that they're throwing are feints, defensive feints. They're not necessarily, I'm going to throw a jab and then I'm going to throw a feint, then a jab to hit you. I'm going to throw that feint to find a position, to move. And I just think it's both ladies, because we have Shireen here. The camera will pan over to Serena. Both women have just, it's not only about offense, it's about their defense as well. So we'll go back to what the film says. Rewind as well or not. Either way, let's just watch. So I'm going to rewind that because I think it's incredibly important. So watch what Shireen will do. Shireen's going to, you can even see there's a disposition moment where she's got work and then all of a sudden she's too cool for school, where that's a positional disposition thing where you're working and then you're like, okay, and you're sort of, it's just those types of things I'm fascinated with, and they're effective. So we'll watch this again. Right there. That's me live. Right there. Just look at her. Just the expression. Same with Serena. You can see those two. And all of a sudden she goes into, she's got a subtle Michelle Egan thing. So we have a position called the Egan where if you've ever seen Michelle Egan box, she'll be working. All of a sudden she gets low and she stops. And it's almost like this serial killer moment. It causes everyone, I've never seen a time where it doesn't cause her opponent to stop and sort of walk off or walk away, or it buys Michelle some time. All right, before we start again, coming in live, one thing I want you to notice too, if you look at this position. So we just came off of a pivot and movement, whatever we just came out of. Look at this position. Look where that hand is. This hand is ready to work. Like, she's ready. She is ready to work. And this position alone, So a three comes, able to handle it. Jab comes, able to handle it. The cross comes, she can either pick it off here or do whatever. It's a high horns package position too, where the right hand is, anyway, it's just, this is a great position. All right, let's go back to the tape. So we've incorporated that into what we do. We call it the Michelle Egan. I'm just going to rewind this, and you can see Serena will get into a Michelle Egan moment. She'll start off with really nice head movement, some feints, and then the pace slows. It changes. If you think of that Shakur tap, where it's tap, 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 stir the pot, stir the pot. It's that sort of rhythmic change. I'm just going to back up. All right, so again, pay attention. So what you're going to want to do when you're doing your shadow boxing, do rounds where you're changing your disposition, where you're going from fast to slow, you're testing out your Shakur taps, you're stirring the pot right here, head movement, and then for a split second, slows right there. So right there's where that slowed. Anyway, let me go back. It's just funny because I pulled it up here as well to show. It's just really funny. All in all, so I just wanted to do an audit of some of the things that we've been talking about. Pre-defense is huge for the things that we do. Falls into that Venn diagram. We have pre-defense, we have ghost notes, we have baby's breath. We don't want to just be another sort of way to think. We don't want to be block print all the time. Block print meaning like if you look here, N O N A. We don't want to be block print. We want to be cursive writing, where everything flows into something else. It's flowing. That's sort of another aspect of some of the things that we do. So once again, I'm gonna show this one more time. So just that was just one more time for that. So I think that's all the messaging. I mean, there's as always. It's funny. Julia said the other day in class that she's like, "You're an over-explainer." I totally am an over-explainer. So I'm trying to not over-explain as much, and I'll over-explain how I'm not doing that anymore. Again, those are the big takeaways. We occupy space, the Venn diagram of ghost notes, of it's you get it. Again, this is where I over explain. All right, you saw what you saw. If you are interested in your own film study on your boxing rounds, be it your shadow boxing, your bag work, partner work, if you're looking for sparring or fights, you want a film study, let me know. We'll make you a film study. You can check out the film study page on my website. Again, most of you know I'm Todd Paris, Lucky Punch Boxing and Fitness, and really appreciate and thank you for watching this audit. Thank you.